What we're doing here is replacing the shiny substance they had on it. It looked like monocoat. We're going to replace it with Solartex. This is white Solartex. And what we are doing is sealing up the edges. After we seal the front edges, we go to the trailing edge and we stretch out the material. And after we have all that material stretched out and sealed up on all the ends, the leading edge, trailing edge, tips, and root, we'll go ahead and shrink the covering after we do both sides. What we want to do is seal the leading and trailing edges at various points along the length of the span. And after we do that, we'll run the iron along those edges to seal them up permanently. If we do it in different locations, what it does, it gives us a chance to go back and remove it if we don't have it tight enough. We have the leading and trailing edges pretty well set up. We'll take the wing next and do the wing tips. You see that we pull on the fabric and go over the edge of it with the iron. It allows it to seal that and keep the covering in place as we're stretching this out. Now, you don't want to stretch it too much because otherwise you'll develop a warp in the wing. So you just want it fairly flat, and the iron will do the rest of the work. As you run the iron over it later, after you got all your edges sealed, it will shrink that covering, and it'll look pretty good. And it doesn't have to be real tight, because if you use too much heat and you pull it real tight, later on, if it does develop some wrinkles, you won't be able to pull those wrinkles out. Continuing with the iron, we're going over the seams again, and we want to make sure everything is down real tight. Of course, this is an electric-powered aircraft, so we don't have to worry too much about the fuel getting under the seams. But we still want to make sure it's down, because this model is going to be painted, and we don't want anything sticking up later on. At this point, we're going to cover the top of our wing with a piece of Solartex that we pre-cut, and we'll lay it over the top, and we'll start doing the edges, leading, trailing edges, the root, and the wing tips. We have a nice straight edge on this Solartex, so we're going to go ahead and line it up with the trailing edge and start tacking at different points of the wing. Once we do that, then we can go ahead and do the leading edge. Again, we'll do it at different points on the trailing edge, so in case we have to pull it back up, it won't be so hard to pull it off the complete wing. We'll just be pulling it off in different points. We follow the same procedure with the top of the wing that we did with the bottom. It's nothing but a repetition. We're doing 4 panels here, and we want to make sure everything's straight and tight when we get done. What's taking place now is we're trimming around the center section fuel tank. We want to be able to get all these pieces down nice and tight. The excess covering here is being removed with the X-Acto knife, and we're using the trailing edge of the wing to guide our X-Acto knife. As I did before around the trailing edge, I'm going to use a leading edge as a guide for the X-Acto knife and trim off the excess Solartex. The iron is being used here to seal the leading edge. A little trimming on the wingtip, and after that's completed, go ahead and put the iron on it and seal down all the loose edges. We have all the panels completed except for the center section, and what we'll go ahead and do now is shrink everything down, make sure it's pulled up tight, and later on we'll be doing the center section. Not quite sure what's going to go on there, because it did have on the original Tiger Moth, it had corrugation on the upper camber of the tank, which was at the center section. So we'll see what we're going to do with that later on. The wing is virtually completed now. I found out with the Solartex, it works well around curves, and it will pull tight. Generally, you can get your wrinkles out if you release the covering and pull it down again. It's worked much better for me than monocoat. Monocoat, you may have a problem with temperature; it can burn through. But the Solartex seems to hold up very well and does pull drum tight.